I have a really fun next prompt, and it's from a meme that you sent me this week.
I didn't present this.
You didn't send me this meme?
No, you sent me this meme. I was impressed with your memes because you're not a meme dude.
In this meme, bad, Taylor Swift, Dave Grohl, and Coldplay. Now, the joke is not that they're quote unquote actually bad, it's that they're bad to hipsters.
Bad taste. Bad, normie, pretty good, perfect here isn't actually about the quality of the musicianship. It's about taste. And if you like those things, you have bad taste because it's mainstream taste.
That's exactly right. Now, when you go up to normie, we got Daft Punk, Weezer, and MGMT.
Yeah.
What's funny about this is that Weezer have put out so many terrible records that you could argue it either way, but MGMT as normie is so funny and on point. Like, I 100% agree with that.
I agree, but I think Weezer could definitely be bad.
But Daft Punk, it is normie in that, like, they're just popular culture, and saying that you like Daft Punk to the hipster at the warehouse, in their mind, you're a normie, not to the actual normie. That's the distinction here. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Yeah.
This just gets so fucking great. Pretty good. Wu-Tang. True. Artsy types agree that Wu-Tang's the shit. Elliott Smith, you don't have to particularly like his music to admit that he's a talented guy that a lot of people respect. Aphex Twin, sign of good taste. Joy Division, sign of good taste. Now, I actually agree that to the artsy type, a sign of good taste is Joy Division, right? I can admit that and also at the same time tell you that I personally don't like Joy Division.
Personally. Normie and pretty good, there's not a big difference to me. That's also because I am an insufferable prick.
Okay.
And so to me, I'm just like, oh, like it's a Becky with a slightly better personality, right? You're still a Chad. You're just like,
right.
I guess more palatable. You look less dorky, but you still look like a fucking dork to me.
So now let's talk about Perfect. The reason why these artists are really good examples, I actually think Perfect is their best selections, their best curation, and I'm going to argue that Horrible is almost the worst curation. The reason why I say this is great is because everyone on Rate Your Music, everyone on every list ever, Rolling Stone, blah, 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 they all, every single fucking last one of them agree that these are S-tier albums. Whether or not you and I as a Bibabatan and a Shmoo agree. Here's what we got. Eric B. and Rakim, Paid in Full. But it's considered like the most foundational album in terms of like foundation and influence. And then we got Velvet Underground and Nico with the Andy Warhol cover. Classic example of like every hipster of all time agrees that it's a classic. Can. Edgy Bamyasi, I believe. But this is the most played record in between local bands or mid-tier bands. Like, we're talking venues where the cap is under 1,000, 500 to 1,000. Can is the number one band, from my anecdotal experience, to be played in between. But the neutrality of them is what makes them popular and beloved, which is why you'll always see these albums in Dark Side and Radiohead and Beatles, etc., always in the top 100 making these lists, is because they have qualities that appeal to the most amount of people. Continuing on here, we got Television, Marquee Moon, which is such a great example of this. I think it's a fantastic album. For my own taste, not a perfect record. It's not. There's like a song or two that I would just cut and I would replace with like Days, which is off their second record. That's actually my favorite Television song. Like if you cut one or two songs from Marquee Moon and put on Days, that's now a perfect record for me. And then you got Big Star, which is always considered the critics' darling band. They're the classic example of like a band that's loved by critics and not famous enough to be known by regular normies.
Out of all of the perfect records that they list in there, the Miles Davis one is the only one that I will accept.
I would agree with that. It is the closest thing to a perfect record from this selection, but I also think this part of the meme is perfect.
Yeah.
So let's get to Horrible, okay?
Merzbow is the only one I'm going to be like,
Frank Zappa. I would put him in pretty good in the sense that like most people with taste consider Frank Zappa pretty good.
Yeah, I wouldn't put him in the Horrible section.
I don't think Horrible is a good match for him. The Fall are a 10 out of 10 match because The Fall are like really ugly and their lead singer's hideous and their music is very workmanlike and like working class everyman kind of band.
But everybody sucks their dick. The people that like The Fall.
Well, because there's just like they're just so anti. They're so no wave.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, above that one is The Residents. I think that's I would say a good example of Horrible. I came up with way better examples, which I'm about to show you.
Sure. Yeah, I also don't like The Residents, so I'm like, sure.
Merzbow, excellent example. Unlistenable noise, right? We have a whole clip about it on the show.
Yeah, we tried.
We got Captain Beefheart. I think that's a very good example of Horrible.
I disagree. I think that Frank Zappa and Captain Beefheart get to go in the pretty good category, man. So
Frank Zappa is a much more famous and mainstream version of that brand of music, that aesthetic of music. Captain Beefheart is even weirder. Can I list my list now?
Sure, no.
Now I've been building up my Lotski. These are bands that want to sound like shit on purpose or ironic on purpose in order to be considered cool. But all these bands fall under the category of this awful meme. Horrible, the horrible meme. These bands would fall under horrible, is what I'm saying. Now, you could argue which ones fall under it to one degree or another. But so we got Ariel Pink, Cloud Nothings, Yola Tango, Pavement. Great example.
Yeah, Pavement that makes sense.
The Microphones, the Unicorns, the Voids, Duster, the Stooges, Earl Sweatshirt, Lil B, Tom Waits, Burzum, Early 3-6 Mafia, Cleaners from Venus, Chrome, Shoo Shoo, Black Flag, Modest Mouse, Lil B, Viper, Sexy Red, Hotline TNT, Joy Division, Waves. I think Joy Division is more awful.
Take Joy Division off of that, honestly. I don't think the Joy Division's trying to push anything.
Vectroid / Macintosh Plus, Dive, Deer Hunter, Fugazi, Minor Threat, Liz Fair, My Bloody Valentine, Jesus Mary Chain, Velvet Underground, Women, Liars, Flaming Lips, Japan Droids, Gang Gang Dance, Fiery Furnaces, Ed Schrader's Music Beat, Indian Jewelry, Harlem.
To truly be cool,
to
embrace cringe
and or irony.
The idea that the chart goes like this and then it drops off to horrible, it's actually a circular chart.
Oh, you're so right.
Things become so horrible that they're actually just bad.
You're so right about that.
But then they become so bad that they're actually
do you know what you're describing? You're describing Horseshoe Theory.
Sure.
You just got 90 billion points.
But that's what's happening here. You know what a perfect example of this is for me? Right? Like, I definitely am an insufferable prick. I'm a music elitist, but I've had a huge thing for Creed recently, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's so bad, right?
It's such a good example.
That it becomes good. Right
we
now.
Love Slipknot, and we know how cringe they are.
Yeah.
They can be, or songs that they can make.
Yeah,
but we love them.
We love that. You know what? There's a lot of normie things that are so bad that I consider them to be good.
Yeah, there's a lot of hot topic stuff that I fuck with.
I really fuck with it. Like,
not all
of it. But that's why I love the new metal revival, right? Because as a kid, right, especially being a punk rock kid, like Limp Bizkit and Korn is like, oh, that's like dorky mainstream, and it's had a revival, and I really love it, right? Like, there's like a lot of shit. There's a lot of shit that would be considered bad that I really love.